Good morning. This is the Blaine's World Show, seen each week on Facebook Live, YouTube, LinkedIn, a couple other places as well. I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield, and I'm here in my Zoom studio in lovely downtown Fairview, North Carolina. And each week we focus on the Asheville theater scene, as well as on positive news and information about people and organizations in both Western North Carolina and throughout the country. And toward that end, it's my pleasure to introduce two local actors, and they are Lily Mills and Jared Schultz. And welcome aboard, guys. And you can, by the way, Jared knows the routine. You can wave Lily to all your fans and friends on Facebook or watching this show. And I should mention, in terms of background, Lily Mills just moved back to Asheville after graduating from William Peace University in Raleigh with a degree in English as well as theater. She enjoys acting, but she comes back to the intention of growing her directing career as well. Jared, I've known since a couple of years here, and I've seen him in just about everything he's been in. And Jared, you've been in a couple of plays over the last couple of years in Asheville, I would say. Aside from being in plays, and one of the things I've always admired about you is you've become this fight choreographer. And what else do you do aside from that? Anything else in theater?
Yeah, the fight choreographer, actor combatant, recently some sideshow tricks of fire breathing and fire eating. I was like slowly adding to my repertoire. So swords are super fun, but sometimes you gotta add some razzle dazzle to them.
Let me ask you both, I guess, in terms of finding out more about you, how you got into, I guess, theater, first of all, Lily, and when did you start getting the bug to be in theater?
I got involved when I was 3 years old. My mom took me to go see a community theater production of Annie Get Your Gun. And I was like, Mom, I gotta be up there. And she said, well, you have to learn how to read. And so I learned how to read and was in my first production. And I don't know, many people know this, but Marcy Bernstein and Judith Cat-Niece, Marcy's my godmother. And so the two of them kind of helped raise me. And so having the two of them and these theater people really got me into it as well.
Well, go back to, I maybe missed it. What was your first play?
My first play ever was The Princess and the Pea.
Okay, you remember that. How old were you?
I was 4 years old.
Okay, now here's an idea, Lily, and share it with Marcy, and I mentioned this to her in the past, and Jeff, for you as well. But I have this great idea for a fundraiser, and I want everybody to do their very first role, for Parkway or whoever you do it for. Because I assume when you did that Princess and the Pea, do they have a videotape of that somewhere?
I don't know. I have to.
But wouldn't that be cool to be able to recreate your first play? So what were you in the first? What were you?
I was the princess.
Were they what princess?
Princess, yeah.
At 4 years old? Wow, that's a pretty big part, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness! Did you have fun with it?
Oh yeah, it was so much fun. I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been in theater since.
And I'm surprised, you say that, Lily, because I've been in the Asheville area now for about 10, 12 years, and nobody's done Princess and the Pea. I'm trying to think, maybe one person did, but wouldn't that be a fun place to do again?
Yeah,
Fun,
it's huge.
yeah. Give you a chance to recreate that role. Or we don't want to be sexist here. Maybe we'll have Jared play the princess.
I'm really aiming for the P. I think that's
Great. So after that role, what else? What are the kinds of things you did after that?
I did a lot of classes because I actually grew up in Florida. So that's where I did all of that. And yeah, I did a lot of acting classes, a lot of shows that were written in-house. And then I moved to when I was 13 and I started at the Asheville Performing Arts Academy and was in Annie there and Pippin. And a lot of tech stuff in Asheville, a lot with Asheville Community Theater and Attic Salt.
And Lily, and maybe I'm thinking that's probably where I met you first at Attic Salt because I was active there for a little bit. And I think I've seen some things there. By the way, can you just turn up your volume a little bit? You're a little low on your volume if you can. And so you mentioned also, it's kind of interesting, you eventually want to get into directing?
Yes, I have some directing experience from college, but definitely want to do some directing in the area.
And the question I ask of actors, especially who do move into directing, At this point in time, do you have a preference or acting or directing? What would you prefer?
That's directing.
And the reason, Jared, people don't say it, but I'm going to see if Lily is honest about it. But the reality people tell me is because when you direct, you don't have to remember the lines. So, take it easy. And we'll get to Jared in a second because you probably were away when Jared did this one-act play. But this one-act play at Hart over the winter, it was just a little small role, Jared, right? It was just that was he 90. How long was that? 90 minutes or longer?
Yeah, I believe around 90 minutes. Yeah, is
And
what
was
that
that?
came in.
And he did. It was amazing. Lily did the whole show himself. Was that the longest, biggest part you ever had?
Oh yes, for sure. Yeah, it was my first lead, first one-man show and I guess the first lead role I've had. So yeah.
Was that a challenge for you?
Oh, for sure. But shout out to Doug Savitt, who was my director for that, and Dakota, um, uh,
Man,
who they were, yeah, great. They made the process wonderful. So, and by their powers combined, we got through it. So
it was just an amazing play, Lily. A little light comedy, a little breezy, good for a laugh show. About
that's
a.
what Adam Rap plays are, if you're a fan of him. So very,
No, it was a very, very heavy drama, but very well done. What was your first play, Jared?
oh, my first play was The Man Who Came to Dinner.
Okay, I know it. Yeah. How
Mhm.
old were you?
I was 16.
Oh, okay. So compared to Lily, you entered a little bit later than some other folks
Uh-huh.
did. That's good. What got you into acting?
Um, well, I've always had spirit of performance. I always liked it. I always liked doing funny voices and stand up. And then yeah, in high school we had to take one art elective basically, and it could be chorus, it could be theater, it could be art. And I was like, well, I always like performing in front of people. Did theater. Uh, my teacher Jeff Ginn at the time was like, I think you're good at this, and I think if you want to do more of this. I was like, I have a role. And he offered it, and then after that, I've always been bit by the bug, and yeah, loved it ever since. And
I,
Catawba, and then on to Asheville, and yeah.
I've seen you in a whole bunch of things. Let me ask you, in terms of recently in Asheville, do you have a favorite role you've had since you've been acting?
Um, yeah, I have a couple. I played Ken in Red, which was a great role. I love that one. And being on the other side of the Robin Hood fence, Cedric was really fun. The protagonist in Nocturne, it was another one. But I think, I mean, being a lifelong fan of this character, of this story, I was like finally portraying Robin Hood. It's probably going to be one of my favorite characters.
What got you into fight choreography?
I'm sorry, Blaine, what was that?
What got you into the fight scenes and
Oh,
doing the fighting?
oh my goodness. So many things. I was a kid that would go to the backyard, pick up the stick, pretend it's a Calder. Huge fan of martial arts. Watched Power Rangers since I was I think multiple seasons of it. Martial arts movies, study classes. Yeah, it's always been near and dear to me. I was like, anytime there's a fantasy biopic, Lord of the Rings, stuff like that, huge nerd. And the best way to I think a fun way to exercise is to, just use swords. And I'm a pacifist at heart, so which is great because everyone's like, oh, you're really good with the sword. I was like, good to meet you. And I was like, oh no, that's why I love fight choreography and stage combat. It's because it just makes you look like really you're not hurting anyone. So yeah, if you hurt someone, then that's that's bad for a lot of reasons, but especially for stage not doing what you should.
What about the fact that now you've also done the fight scenes and training and getting other people to do it? How do you enjoy that?
Oh, I love it. It's great. There's it's a lot of fun. Mainly because the way I look at it, that I work with a lot of actors here, and eventually I maybe cast with them in a cast. And if we have a fight scene, I was like, oh, that's great that you know something. I was like, despite what it is, you've had some experience. So I was like, we can fight together. And I love teaching. I love it. I love the physicality of fighting and the action of it, and also seeing people's face when they're like, oh my gosh, they're like, this is so cool. I was like, I finally get to use a sword. And I was like, oh yeah. And just seeing that, like, that passion where someone's just like, oh, I wasn't sure, they're like really nervous, and then they're just like, yeah. I was, so
Well, let me ask Lily, for example, in this upcoming play, do you have any fight scenes at all?
I have
Oh,
a
you
lot.
do. Very cool. The who do you fight?
Jared. I fight Jared a little bit. I fight Zach, um, who plays Guy of Gisborne. I fight Dakota, who plays
Oh, wow.
yeah. I think that's it.
Well,
Everybody. Yeah.
that's enough. Had you ever done any fight scenes before?
Yeah. I was Tybalt in Romeo and Juliet, and that was my first introduction to fight choreo. And then I've done a couple. I'm actually certified and unarmed, and yeah,
So do you enjoy doing fight scenes?
a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now I'll put you on the spot. So fight scene, comedy, romance. Do you have a preference as to what you like doing best?
Um, Gosh, I like dramas, but I love a good fight. Those are fun. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's really cool, Jared. So we're not being sexist about this. So the guys fight, the women fight as well. Do we get to see any other women fighting in this upcoming show?
yeah.
Okay.
Um,
I'm there. Okay, just a reason to see it. See women fighting, very very cool. Talk a little bit about then the upcoming show. So the show that you both are going to be in is going to be. Let me see if I have the title right. Sherwood: The Adventures of Robin Hood. And who's the author of that?
Ken Ludwig.
Ken
Okay,
Ludwig.
and so for the benefit of all three people out there who don't know the story, could you maybe, Lily, give kind of like a Reader's Digest version of the story and keep it under like 10 minutes? You
Yeah.
know.
Absolutely. Yeah, short and sweet. So basically we meet Robin as a kid, young and chaotic, and doesn't focus in school and kind of runs around creating trouble and mayhem, and is a late and all that. And then his father goes to fight with King Richard in the Crusades, and leaves Nottingham and Sherwood to Robin and Regent Longchamp, and ultimately that turns into Prince John taking over and becoming regent while the king is away. And we watch Robin grow up. We watch him meet little John, who is played by Jason Phillips.
Oh,
And
great.
yeah, Jason Phillips. And he meets Friar Tuck, who is played by Shana Kriewall. And he meets a character named Derwin, who is Morgan Miller, who's a really, really cool character. She's young and spunky, and she has some fight stuff too. And meets all the characters, and starts to stick up for the people and realize kind of what his values are. And I'm playing Maid Marian, and we have our romance, and I kind of come in and join the group and realize that my allegiance with the Prince and Sir Guy is not right, and I help them in their revolution, and ultimately they take the town back, and the king returns, and happily ever after.
Oh, so there's a happy ending to it. It seems like there's quite some story. I'm just curious, Jared, how long does the show run? Not length, but I mean, how is it a 2 hour show, a 3 hour show? How long is it?
Yeah, I think 2 hours. So I was like, is what we're aiming for now. Yeah, maybe a little less. I was like, yeah, I was like, because this is a very unique like production and how it's like stylized and set. So it's going to be a little minimalistic, rather than like a huge like we're going to have its own Sherwood on stage. So it's a fast moving play, which is really good. So we like to keep people on the edge of their seats. So
It just sounds like there's a lot of story involved in a 2 hour story. You mentioned What makes this production unique, aside from the fact that two of you are in it? What else makes it unique?
Well, first of all, the women in the show. Usually, you have Maid Marian is very ingenue, very doe-eyed, and kind of just damsel in distress, and she is introduced kicking Robin's butt with some sword fight, and she's the one who teaches him how to shoot, and she's really kind of a really cool spunky girl. And Deerwin, the other female lead, is the exact same way. A lot of character, a lot of spunk. And that's a really cool twist that Ken Lovick decided to do on this very nice modern breath of fresh air.
But I mentioned to you both, like I said, if you can catch the Robin and Marion version, because it's just the opposite of what you just said. She was just very, very typical. There was no fighting. She wasn't fighting. It was a pure love story, beautiful love story. But it's Robin Hood is older then, so it's catch it if you can. But on the other Robin Hoods that Jared had mentioned, he'd been in a couple of them at Montford. Had you ever been in any other versions of Robin Hood?
No, sadly, this is my first time I've ever donned the green. So normally I've been either chasing Robin, trying to foil his plans. Yeah, I've something about me on the Mumford stage. I was like, I like to be. I guess they think I'm such a nice guy that I make an even nicer villain. So.
And Montford is quite a thing to see, an outdoor play, weather permitting. But this is talk about this play then. How long have you been in rehearsal, Lily?
Oh gosh, only a few weeks. I think we have like 4 weeks total rehearsal. So we've been in it for
This is week 3, actually.
so
Yeah.
next we have 3 weeks and then tack, so 4 weeks and we open. So very short turnaround.
And how long is this show going to be available to people? Is it 3 weekends?
3 weekends. It's July 30th through August 13th.
Because what I want to encourage people to see the show is that just to realize how much time and effort is put into this. That people come to see a show and they'll say, this is great, and they don't realize you've been spending over a month. And that was even before. Did you have the script before then?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So you were memorizing the script. I mean, so you're working on this to 6 weeks to 8 weeks, whatever, and to have 3 weekends. It's quite an effort. If people want to see it, talk a little bit about when and where. Then, if you have the details handy.
Yeah. So it's July 30th through August 13th. It's at Parkway Playhouse. That's in Burnsville, and it's in the main big red building.
Okay, it's a fun little theater to see something at. Nice write up. It's not that difficult to get to, but I will give you a heads up for anybody watching the show. I don't know if you've ever gotten a ticket yet driving to the Playhouse. Have you ever gotten a ticket? Because
I have.
Jared, almost the very first time I go, it's a beautiful stretch of the road you drive, and you're just driving, but it's only a road, Lily, be careful on it, that changes speed like about 17 times within a 5-mile radius. And almost everybody I know, including Marcy, I think has gotten a ticket. I've gotten a ticket. Jared has too. So just be aware of that when you go there. But lovely ride up there if you get a chance. A lot of nice restaurants up there too. So it's just a fun thing to go to. And if you go, encourage to get tickets in advance because it sounds like it's going to be a pretty popular show. Parkway has a nice seating capacity, but get there quickly. Talk a little bit about after Robin Hood. Do you have anything on the agenda, Jared? What's next on your agenda? Anything?
Well, yeah. Well, actually, before that, Lane, I kind of wanted to mention because one of the things kind of about that makes this show really distinct in my mind is that Lily, other than being a fantastic Marion, she's also our intimacy coordinator, which is which I'll let her speak more on that. But it's a play that we do a lot right, both with the choreography style and the intimacy stuff. So Lily's far more knowledgeable about that than I am. But it's
I love the title though, intimacy coordinator. What does that person do?
So basically, similar to like fight choreographers, they are out there to make sure all the fights look good and are safe. An intimacy director comes in and does the exact same thing with intimacy. That could be any type of intimacy, even like familial or any like even just context like in the script. But it's just to make sure that like actors are making sure that they are safe on stage and feel comfortable in these positions, and also that things are really choreographed. Like we've got a couple kisses in our show, and we have everything choreographed down to breath. We're breathing in on this beat. We are kissing at this intensity. We have counts. Like it's highly choreographed, and it's the same every time, and it looks pretty darn good, if I do say so myself.
Had you been trained in that?
Yes, I am certified through IDC, and it is incredible work. It is very fulfilling, and they work very hard to make sure that you are not only certified in your intimacy knowledge and choreography, but also in first aid and anti-racism training and bystander training and conflict de-escalation. So you can really go in and make sure that all of your actors are feeling heard and represented and safe at all times.
But even though there's some intimacy scenes in this, it's appropriate for kids as well to see?
Yeah, all PG, just some kisses. There's 2 kisses with us. There's a kiss between Dearwin and John Little, and yeah, it's just Disney type stuff.
Yeah, but now I'll have to rethink this. I was hoping like a PG-13 at least, or
I know.
PG.
Daniel Moore, like, nope.
Right, and I'll tell you a funny story off the air. I can't tell on the air, but anyway. So back to that's pretty cool. We'll talk a little bit about Jared since you mentioned it. So you have an intimacy choreographer. A lot of people don't realize, in terms of putting on a show, there are other people behind the scenes as well. So we'll give it a shout out if you would. Talk a little bit, Jared, if you would, because you know him pretty well. Daniel Moore is the director, right?
Yeah.
And talk a little bit about his role and then some of the other people behind the scenes.
Oh, I mean, I was like, people, they look at the actors and they're like, oh my gosh, you have so many lines of blocking to do. And Daniel's just, up until the show is up and running, like once we get through Tech Week, I was like, basically he's, Atlas with the world, like, so, he's making sure, that we know our blocking, that this show is running smoothly. And, he's directing, making sure that everyone knows what they're doing, why they're doing it, making sure the costumes are right. So, we have costumers as well, which help. And it's all, theater is a village, a community. So it takes more than one. But yeah, specifically Daniel as the director, I mean, I'm just very appreciative, very in awe. He's a fantastic director. And I'm so excited to work to making his vision for this come true.
Now, you've acted with him too in the past, right?
Oh yeah, and an amazing actor as well.
Right, exactly. So I love him as an actor. Who's your stage manager?
Tegan.
Okay, because again, as you said, people don't realize how many people are involved in putting on a production. It's just you see this thing, and then you see the actors, but as many people on stage, you have perhaps equal number, if not more, behind the scenes, and they're all important to it. So it's going to be quite a production. So we're going back to the production itself. So it runs again. The dates are when?
July 30th through August 13th.
Okay, if people want to get tickets, best bet is go on the website, I guess?
Yeah, to go to Parkway's website, which is parkwayplayhouse.com.
But Parkway Playhouse to get tickets in advance. And so when the show is over, I was starting to ask Jared, so any plans after Robin Hood when the show is over?
Yes, I have a few. After that, I go from merry old England to France because I will be in Three Musketeers at Montfort. So that opens the 19th of August at Montfort. Very excited for that production, and then after as well. And then I am involved in the 10-minute scenes that Magnetic is going on. I don't have dates for that because they're still finalizing that. But I'm directing there. And then if you love the on-stage tour de force that Lily and I are, we are actually in another play at Magnetic in the winter season, which is Caroling by Gaslight. And that's,
The thing that
has Jason Phillips and Strother Sidley in it as well.
Yes.
all four of us are going from this one to that one.
That
Oh,
one.
Struthers in this one play as well?
Yeah,
I mean, so, yeah, just
And
like a
Jason. Yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah,
Jason.
like fantastic cast. Let me ask you this, Lily. So, Jared was mentioning, what always impressed me about actors in particular is they go from like one play to another. As you're doing this, do you begin rehearsals at any other play, or are you doing two at once like that?
Yes, I'm actually at Parkway. I am doing Elephant Piggy. We have performances all through this. I actually have a performance tomorrow morning for that. And that's Elephant Piggy. We are in a play. It's a little kid show, Readers Alive thing. And additionally, so this show closes August 13th, but I start rehearsals on August 8th for Assassins at Heart. I'll be playing Spooky Prom. That's directed by Mark Jones.
Right.
And I'm very excited for that.
Yeah. Have you ever done? It just blows me away that actors can do this. Have you ever done three at one time? Really?
The most I've done is 4 at one time.
You've done four. Does that drive you crazy?
Yeah. I will say that I wasn't acting in all 4. It was like I was stage managing 2, and I was acting in 1 and directing 1. So I was able to kind of, full circle. I wasn't trying to memorize 4 shows worth of lines or anything, but it definitely was. I was scurrying around a whole lot.
Do they give you, I guess, to act, especially up in Parkway or then you go on Hart, do they give you a pair of roller skates to get back and forth between, all these different theaters?
Best roller skates, yeah.
I mean, my God. Jared, same thing too. Have you ever been in a bunch of plays at one time?
I have. I don't think. Tip my hat to Lily with 4. I think the most I've ever done is, I'd say 2.5, because I did like a play and then I choreographed, like 5 choreographed, and then I think I was doing some like 2-minute scene like work at the same time, and then prepping to do another. So yeah, I was in a couple like smaller like 2-minute scenes. So that's why I say like 2.5.
20 years from now, what do we see Jared doing in terms of theater?
Yeah, well, hopefully, as long as this body holds up, I'll still be using a sword at some point. Hopefully, continuing some lead characters, so roles, and yeah, just keep moving, keep fighting, keep choreographing, keep on. Western North Carolina is a beautiful place for theater. A lot of other talented actors, and every year I'm impressed with how much better it gets. So,
Do you have an ideal role you want to play sometime?
many.
Just one. Or two?
Yeah, just well, Cyrano
Okay.
would always be awesome. Both for the fights and just the character itself is just awesome. It's a fantastic play. So
And by the way, that's a play too, food for thought in terms of, you encouraging other people. I don't recall seeing it in the Asheville area, so it might be a fun thing to, get involved in. Cyrano would be great. Did you see the movie?
I haven't seen the movie yet.
Really? Did you? Oh, you have to. I loved it. It's catch it if you can. Who would have thunk it would have been a musical? But really, I enjoyed it. So catch that. Lily, same thing too. You mentioned directing. Is that what you want to be moving into the future as a director?
Yeah, my goal is to be really mostly intimacy directing. Actually, right now there's a huge opportunity for traveling with that because it's a brand new career, and
Right.
so I would really love to kind of keep building my resume, and eventually, I'd love for Asheville to be my home base, but I would love to travel and kind of do that.
Same thing I asked Jared. Do you have an ideal other role you'd either like to direct or play or act in? Is there anything?
I would love to intimacy direct Spring Awakening. I would love to direct Sweeney Todd, and I would love to be, I know it's kind of basic, but Mercutio and Romeo and Juliet has always been
Interesting.
Okay. Well, something to look forward to. Let me just again have you one more time repeat. So if you want to see Jared and Lily, you're in for a treat. It's going to be at the play again, and the dates and location.
Yeah, so it's July 30th through August 13th. It's Sherwood, The Adventures of Robin Hood by Ken Ludwig, and it is at Parkway Playhouse in Burnsville.
Okay.
And it sure would be a shame if you missed it.
Okay, for that alone, I'll say get the hell off the screen. But anyway, thank you both for being my guests this special edition of the Blaine's World Show. I look forward to seeing you sometime in the near future in person. I'll definitely see you at the show. And be well, guys. So I'm going to say goodbye to you and then stay with me just for a minute. Okay, great. So let me see if I can